Well, it seems like we have a Supra day to discuss here. That's a lame introduction. Don't worry, I'll have plenty more in the future. Okay, so this model is made by Tarmac Works. It's one of their hobby grades. And I got this pretty much on sale because I don't think anyone, normal people, would want to buy this model because of this sponsorship. This Blitz sponsorship just looks ridiculous. It looks like something out of a 1980s punk rock t-shirt or something, right? I mean, sorry, I'm just laughing because that's just horrible graphics. Blitz, by the way, is a Japanese tuning company. They were actually one of the very first ones. It was established in 1981 by a Satoshi Yamaguchi. And this particular race car here had 450 horsepower. It weighed 1,400, a little over 1,400 kilograms, and it raced in the 1994 Japanese Grand Touring Championship, the JGTC. Okay, so that's what's going on with this livery, at least. But the Supra Celica, well, originally Supras came from the Celica line, and then it became its own namesake later on. Let's see, so it's 94. Interesting. I've never seen that on the back of a Tarmac before. I don't have too many Tarmacs, though. Let's see, so it's probably licensed and all that stuff that matters to you guys. Alright, well, there you go. Tarmac has this, oh boy, don't lift by the cover unless you're really close to a table. So Tarmac has this lame way of saying this is a limited edition, yet it doesn't tell us how many they made. So, I mean, there's 4 digits. In theory, there could be 9,999 of these things. For me, limited edition stuff is just marketing BS. I also feel that if you make a good product, you should sell millions of them, not limit them. Limiting is really just telling other people that you're making something that's not so great, but you're trying to sell it by telling people it's limited, right? That's just my way of thinking. Okay, so yeah, that case is super loose. I'm gonna have to tape that together later. Okay, let's see. Tarmac has a cool graphics on all their plinths, it seems like, and they seem to be pretty different graphics for most of their different castings or liveries, so it's pretty cool that effort they do. Okay, so back to the car, what I learned about this thing. Let's see, this is the 4th generation Supra that came out between 1993 and 1998. The very first ones came out in 1978. This thing shared the same platform as the Soarer, which is like a coupe, a luxury coupe, but it was much shorter, like 13 inches shorter, or 340 millimeters, so it's a significantly different car. But I guess they can stretch and widen platforms in modern vehicles. Okay, so this would have had probably an inline 6-cylinder. Yeah, they definitely do. But there was a naturally aspirated version making 220 horsepower. But as I mentioned, this is a race car. Although I don't know if the race car had a turbocharger or not. The road cars had turbochargers, twin turbos actually, sequential, and they were making like 325 horsepower, at least in Europe. And 0 to 60 on the road cars would have been 4.6 seconds, and they'd go 160 miles per hour. But again, the race car, more power. This is the only rear photo I could find of this car. It seems to be a magazine photo, so it's a bit warped and distorted. Okay, so this is a heavy car. It weighed 1,500 kilograms more than an RX-7, even though they did a lot of stuff to lighten it. This thing actually had like hollow fibers in its carpeting, and there was a lot of aluminum, like in the hood, the targa top, which this one does have a targa top. Forged aluminum suspension arms, at least the upper ones, magnesium steering wheel, plastic gas tank, a lot of things to try to make it lighter, but it was still a heavy car in the end. Okay, it was still lighter than the Mitsubishi 3000 GT though. Okay, so that's really all I learned about the real car, or what the internet told me about the real car. So let's get into this model now. So as we discussed, the graphics are a bit horrid. And the reason why I chose this model, why I actually bought this, is because I know that Tarmac Works uses decals. You see this? That's a giant air bubble. I don't care. I'm going to try to take these decals off. That's what I'm going to try to do here. It'll be an experiment. Alright, let's go over this casting first. Alright, so it's got a nice silver paint job to it. Alright. The wheels, boy, that one was stuck. See, there's a lot of extra plastic flash. This wheel's a lot better. The spokes have good air passing between them. But this one, there's plastic extra molding on the backside of that wheel. Also, the rim of the wheel has a whole bunch of dents in it. So this is a reject wheel. What about this side? Yep, that's pretty bad. The rear wheels are okay, but this front wheel, this is horrible, absolutely horrible. So, you know, I don't see a QC sticker. There's no quality control sticker on this. It's possible maybe this is a factory reject and that's why it was on sale. Interesting. So the factory that's making these for Tarmac Works might be, you know, taking all their rejected models, selling them off to some distributor, you know, at some cut rate, and then I'm the dude that bought it. Okay, well, luckily, well, I don't know. I might try to just do a wheel swap. Or, if I just display it on this side, it's really not that big of an issue. Alright, so anyways, yeah, as I mentioned, all these graphics are decals. We got some black paint around the windows, looks alright. Separate pieces for the mirrors. The wheels, back to this, sorry, I'm kind of jumping around, but there is a brake system, it seems. Or is there? Yeah, there is. You see, this little tab here is the brake rotor, and the tab is there to keep the brake from spinning while the wheel spins. Unfortunately, the whole brake system just seems to be silver. I can see the caliper right there, and on the back I don't know where it is, but being all silver is kind of hard to see, right? But maybe that's accurate to the real race car. That might have been what happened there. Give them the benefit of the doubt, Tarmac Works. Okay, so nice little plastic headlights there, and there's some sort of molding that looks like there's 3 different light buckets or something. There's a really tiny tow hook here. I didn't even notice. I'm surprised they didn't break it off. There's a foil sticker for the Toyota badge. Unfortunately, it's in the wrong location. It's crossing the panel gap. It should, you know, I think be either lower or higher. I'm not sure. I don't even see it on the race car photograph, so this is some sort of liberty that they choose to do themselves, Tarmac Works. But I do see these hood pin latches on the real photograph, and that seems to be in the location matching the photograph. And they do seem to be foil stickers. They are raised. I can feel them. Raised bumps for the fluid here. Raised to wiper blades painted black as part of the window molding. And then, the windshield here. Probably a decal because it looks a little wrinkly. Yeah, okay. Let's see. Down here, we got some horizontal ribs. They seem to be part of the casting based on the sound. And then we got some tiny little turn signals recessed in here, and they are just painted orange. What's interesting is when I look at the photograph, this is not the same bumper. This bumper is not the same as that photograph. So I think Tarmac, they obviously made one casting and it's meant to be for road cars. And this might be a regular stock road car front end, but they just put this racing livery on it, assuming that most people wouldn't actually compare them to real photographs. Okay. Let's go to the bottom. A little silver paint, exhaust there. Racing slicks, that makes sense. It's screwed together, so modding and painting and all that stuff should be pretty easy. The wheels don't really spin. There's some sort of friction going on, right? But I'm okay with that. I actually like that. They can physically move. Nope, still not much. Okay, let's go around here. This wing here looks pretty nice. It's not super thick plastic, so that's nice. The taillights, though, what are these? Are these just printed on? I think they are. Yeah, that's pretty weak. They're not even plastic, it's just a printing. So this is more like something I expect from Auto World or Greenlight. I mean, even Greenlights have front and rear plastic sometimes. So for our Tarmac hobby, this is pretty miserable. This might be one of their early releases, I would guess. Okay, so exhaust tips, I think, are these 2 circles. I could be wrong. No, maybe they're fuel filler ports. because I'm looking at the photograph and it looks like the exhaust tip is on this side in that rear photograph. So again, this is probably modeled off a normal street car, and maybe the street car has the exhaust on that side. Okay, so what else here? Just a couple other decals. Looks like there's also contaminant there. Possibly casting gouges or something. It just doesn't look very smooth. They're like bumps. But the Supra sticker's nice. It's a foil sticker. It's raised. It seems quite realistic. What about the top here? A little wiper blade here. And we have a roll cage system. You know what? Since I'm gonna try to strip the decals off, let's open this guy up. I've never opened up a Tarmac Works. We do have to remember that this is probably an older casting, so maybe it's not so great in there. But we'll see. Well, you know what's nice? You can see obviously there's a harness here, and I'm gonna guess that's a decal. It's a pretty nice harness. You know, they got the yellow and red. Can you read that text? Yeah, it's a say-belt system there. What about the dashboard? No gauges. So just you know, molded details, and the roll cage, you know, separate piece, painted silver. So I think that's all right. I mean, you're not gonna get a great deal of detail in a race car. You know, they're just stripped out for minimal weight. Okay, so the construction of this model. Let's see. Oops, sorry, I'm knocking my camera around. Here's those disc brakes. Pretty weak. That's this tiny caliper. Sorry. Let me back out here. I am actually backed out. Alright. I mean, that's a really weak caliper. It's barely even covering a lot of that rotor. So, not the best casting there, but I guess it's better than no brakes at all. So they're using some sort of white glue to put the seats in. And then that's standard stuff, plastic base. How's this window? There's only one rivet holding the window on, and look, that's pretty cool. There's a mirror hanging there, and that mirror is actually part of the window casting. That's a really difficult thing to mold, I think. So that's difficult. Okay, pretty impressive. All right. Alright, so they know what is going on there. What's weird is, okay, so what happened is someone designed the mold and they forgot to put the text in it. So someone took a Dremel and dremeled out Supra and DO1 in there. And that's why this looks all hand drawn, because someone literally hand carved that into the mold, and now the casting is filling that in. So I think that's kind of funny. Okay. Well, interesting. Now the metal flows to this post. I find the construction of models pretty interesting, because as a kid I used to make all those Tamiya model kits, and knowing how things are made helps me also justify the price of things. I always, you know, look at the price of models and ask myself, can I make that myself? And 99% of the time the answer is I cannot. So that's why I buy these things. Okay, it does look like, see again, here the casting looks a little rough, right? There's like waves or something in there. I don't know what the deal is, if this is an old mold, or if someone like sanded this on a belt sander or something, or a rotary sander, and just took off too much metal before it was painted. Interesting. I do feel like they painted the entire thing on this surface and obviously the outside. I don't think this is raw casting. I think this is all silver paint in here. Alright, well, so let's talk about trying to remove decals. Okay, so at first I was trying hot water. I've seen YouTubers mention trying to soften decals with hot water, but it was just taking too long. So I have this stuff that actually is used in hobbies to actually apply decals. It's called softer because it actually softens the decal, so you can mold the decal into like crevices and stuff like that. But basically, if the stuff will soften a decal, it will soften these decals, so it'll be easier to take off. So that's what I've been doing here. I just slowly, you know, I take a little bit. It has a brush here, and then you know, I'm just applying it to the Blitz. I'm trying to keep all the other things I don't have really a problem with the other decals on this thing. So I just applied it like probably 5 times. You know, it has to seep into this plastic here, the decal. And then, hold on, let me just finish this one off. Okay, so let's let that sit for again. And then I have these tiny little eyelash like makeup sticks. They're basically like, sorry, they're basically cute like toothpicks that have a little bit of cotton around them. And so the reason why I like this is because it's rigid enough to dig into the decal, but but it's not strong enough to scratch the paint, right? So, you know, if I'm just going in a circular motion, and you can see I'm slowly removing that T. I'm not even applying a super amount of force because the chemical here, whatever this chemical is, I have no idea. You probably don't want to be breathing this. Actually, it doesn't have any odor, but I'm sure it's not good for you. If you're really cautious, if you have respiratory problems, maybe you want to wear like a mask. But yeah, it just, once you get a little bit in underneath one section, it seems to seep in, and this will definitely work. I just have to be careful where I get around other decals, or in this case, that stripe there. I'm going to try to keep that stripe. But a little bit of time. Yep, here we go. It took a while, like 5 or 6 applications of the fluid before it softened enough for this toothpick to really start tearing it off. So this is worth buying. It's called Mr. Hobby. I think that's the brand. Mr. Mark Softer. Okay, so I'm back and I finished. It took a while, probably like a good 30 minutes. There's no way you could do this with just water, I don't think. You have to really soften the decal, because if you need to tear away the clear part of the decal near the other graphics. So if you're going to try to do this, you really got to invest in some sort of a decal softener. So another tip for you guys is I just had a pool of the fluid sitting here, and then with this thing I just went really quick to try to feather it around the graphics I'm trying to keep. You can kind of see right here, and this right at this angle. I could have gone closer, but I was afraid I would tear this off, you know, so I kind of left it far away. But in most light, you can't really see that clear edge. See, you can't see it. It's only in certain angles. So, yeah, I think it turned out alright. And then these wheels, I bought, you might want to search my channel here. I bought like 10 of these things a long time ago, these BNDSs. These wheels are specifically this one from that pack, 10 pack I got. And, but they don't have any disc brakes. So I happen to have some disc brakes left over from some 3D printed wheel projects, and then these disc rear brakes came from some other wheel set, although I can't remember what model it was. So fortunately there's still, you know, tabs on them, so I guess the brakes still stay stationary. So that's what's going on. Let's compare it to a couple other models. Let's get this stuff out of the way. Okay, so we have an earlier Supra. This is by Aoshima. It's one of those Grachan collection cars. I don't know which collection, but it's funky looking. It's got like a Falcon tire livery. But the Aoshimas, they never have like text on them. There's no like Toyota badge on that thing, because they're all these Liberty Walk body kits. So that's a way for them to cheap out, I guess. So the RX-7 is by TLV. And then this 3000 GT is by Para64. So you can clearly see, you know, the 3000 GT is a big car. It's a heavy beast. And the RX-7 is obviously a lot smaller. And that's why I think, you know, this thing is 1,300 kilograms less than a Supra. And then the Supra is still lighter than a 3000 GT. So to me it makes sense as to the size of these vehicles. I didn't measure any of them though with calipers, so I don't know for sure if they're really to scale. You know, this one's a little suspicious, but it is heavy. You know, statistically it's a heavy vehicle, so I kind of think it's correct. Alright, well, let's get this thing spinning on its own. So do make note of this photograph here, and then the front end of this. They're not the same. Alright? So you got side vents here, like a normal Supra, I think, but this race car doesn't have it. So that's why I'm not really bothered by the fact that I got rid of the Blitz graphic, because the model itself wasn't very accurate to begin with. So now I just have a silver race car with the number 33, and I'm cool with that, you know. So anyways, if you're interested in a little project, I forget where I bought this, to be honest with you. Perhaps eBay, probably eBay. And then yeah, you might want to look into this. Hopefully your wheels will be better than the ones that came on this one. If not, you might want to buy some aftermarket wheels. The BNDS, I think the general size of them works out on this particular model. So, alright guys, well, I'm going to start collecting some more Supras. So, this is my second one, I guess. I'll try to get some more later on. Thanks for watching.